It's the biggest news break in the Agusta Westland scam. Times Now has learned that the alleged Middleman, Michel, has been arrested in Dubai. The arrest comes as a big boost to India's efforts to have Michel deported for the investigation in the multi-crore Agusta scam. Michel allegedly acted as a middleman between Agusta, the chopper manufacturer, and officials in the Indian government.
So you are confirming that the arrest of Christian Michel was made in regards to the Augusta Westland, the chopper.
Yes, of course. You know why? Last year he has been arrested for the same reason, but he paid the bail, 250,000 euros. And he was released. Then the prosecutor gave it to Indian authorities 45 days plus 45 days to have the documents, the evidence against him. As the Indian authorities didn't give anything, he was the extradition proceeding was suspended. But this year, a group of Indian authorities went to Dubai and together with the Emirates authorities, they interviewed Michel and then asked about all the Gandhi history. And he say, I never met Gandhi, I had nothing to do with Gandhi. So they say, no, you must sign this paper because you have to give us the confession because this crime is of white collar is very difficult to find the evidence, but you must collaborate with us. And he said, no, I have nothing to say. I never met Gandhi. I said that 1,000 times, and so they left. They came back again 1 week later, and they did another interview with him. And he said, I'm not going to sign any statement because I'm not agree with what you are saying. After 2 days, he was arrested. No bailable arrested. So he's there for 40 days.
We go right across to my colleague Bhavtosh Singh, who's joining us live at the moment, as well as Srinjoy Chaudhary, who joins us here from our studios in Noida. Bhavtosh, let me come to you first. This is a massive development. What are your sources telling you about the next course of action?
Madhav, since morning, we have been in touch with both officials in ED as well as in CBI. And sources have confirmed two things. One, that the extradition proceeding is on. Second, that they have said all documents and evidence in this case have been submitted. Now, the documents are the three charge sheets that
request
have
you
been
to stay with us. We have Mahesh Jetmalani joining us on the phone line for more on the story. Mahesh Jetmalani, how do you look at this? It's a massive development in the Agusta case.
It is a massive development. I hope they succeed in getting him and forward just to the higher ups who are involved in this.
Mahesh Jetmalani, I think there's a problem with your phone line. Let me just try and ask you that question once again. Really, in terms of the implications of this big development, what really will be the future course in terms of where this case would be headed after this arrest?
Christian Middleman, so he knows the entire transaction and his exit underway.
Mahesh Jetmalani, I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there for the moment. We will try and reconnect with you. We apologize for the poor quality of that phone connection there. Shehzad Poonawala is also with us on the phone line. Shehzad, very clearly, given the fact that Christian Michel is a person who knows every intricate detail of these transactions, this is a massive development because it could really spill further light on what exactly transpired as far as those controversial transactions are concerned.
Hello? Is that for me?
Yes, Shehzad, that question is for you.
I think that this is the beginning of the end. Those who have been named in the Augusta Westland, you know that there were certain entries that were made and you know that there were certain proceedings that are going on even in foreign courts. but I think that the manner in which this case is being pursued, very soon, the first family of corruption who has probably got a kickback in this entire deal will be out in the open. And I congratulate the Indian authorities for working with their Dubai counterparts in trying to get this absconder back and bringing him to justice so that he can spill the beans on the first family of corruption.
All right, stay with us, Shehzad. We have Majid Memon joining us on the phone line. Majid Memon, this is a big development in the Agusta case. Surely Christian Michel, who had intricate information as to the details of those transactions, will be able to shed further light on exactly what transpired. Majid Memon, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, is that Mr. Majid Memon?
Hello. Yeah, I can hear you.
Mr.
Hello.
Majid Memon, sir, your reaction to the arrest of Christian
Hello.
Michel. He is a person who was a middleman who would know all details of the transactions that took place. And certainly this is a big win for authorities as well.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Memon. All right, we have Mr. Swami joining us on the phone line as well. Sir, your initial reaction to this arrest of Christian Michel, the alleged middleman. Dr. Subramanian Swami, can you hear me, sir? Let me go right across to my colleagues who've joining us on the right here on this broadcast. We have with us Srinjoy Chaudhary and Bhavtosh Singh. Srinjoy, what are your sources in the government telling you about these developments? Because Christian Michel is a person who has intricate details of those transactions. He is a middleman, and clearly he would have further details on what transpired, particularly given that there are allegations of political corruption as far as the leadership is concerned as well within the Congress party. Perhaps more details and explosive political details would also be revealed as part of following this particular arrest.
Well, Madhav, before that, there are two things that have to happen. The first, of course, is the fact that the agencies have to persuade the UAE government that there are charges and very serious charges against Christian Michel, and for which he has to be extradited. Then the extradition process has to begin. So far, that process is just about to begin, or is yet to begin. It's about to begin, really. And that process will involve Christian Michel coming back to India. Once he is in India, he can be interrogated thoroughly to find out exactly all the things that were in the notebook, who those people were, what those numbers were that were next to those figures. So all those names and numbers that he himself
Okay, Srinjoy, stay with us. I'm given to understand that Dr. Subramanian Swami is joining us on the phone line once again. Dr. Subramanian Swami, your reaction to this arrest of Christian Michel, the middleman in the Agusta scam?
Well, I knew that something like this yesterday. When you asked me this question, I gave a very hesitant reply, because I didn't believe this will happen today, because yesterday I had got indication that this is going to happen, and it's excellent work by the Enforcement Directorate. And I also compliment the CBI, which has been giving supportive support for this in this matter. I think it shows how serious our government is to get to fight corruption. I think it's a major development, and it will help us in future such atrocities that have been committed by the UPA.
Yes, but sir, the bigger questions are, there are going to be many legal hurdles in actually extraditing Michel from the UAE here to India. It's certainly not going to be a very easy process.
I will tell you that UAE government will fully cooperate with us.
Okay. Okay. Also, Dr. Swami, if I can ask you, sir, in terms of the role of Christian Michel, we know that he is the middleman. Do you think that he would actually spill or bring out a wealth of information on exactly what transpired, given that there are some very serious allegations of political corruption as well in the Agusta scam?
Well, his father and Sonia Gandhi were so close that whenever Sonia Gandhi went to London, she stayed in their house. This man, Christian Michel, was brought up through his teenage and his young adult age, frequently interacting with Sonia Gandhi. So, I mean, there's enough for him to tell us on what accounts monies were, because his father had been money laundering for Sonia Gandhi for a long time.
Okay. Okay. How soon, Dr. Swami, do you think Christian Michel would be actually extradited? How long do you think that process would take?
About maybe 3 weeks.
All right. All right. Within 3 weeks, you believe that Christian Michel would be available to the Indian agencies for interrogation?
Up to 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks.
All right, all right. Or also, Dr. Swami, if I can ask you in terms of the actual course of this investigation itself, how big a boost will this arrest be? If you can explain to our viewers, because Christian Michel is a person who knows all the intricate details, he knows all of the players in this entire matter, and that certainly will give a major fillip to the investigation, isn't it?
Absolutely. It would have been like arresting Mr. Quattrochi. That's the difference between NDA 1 and NDA 2. Difference between Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Mr. Modi. Modi is dead serious now that on corruption we must, deliver on all our commitments we made, and we are going ahead. Of course, there have been bureaucrats who have been trying to sabotage our investigations and prosecution, but the Prime Minister is very clear, and that is why this has happened. And his close association with the UAE government will ensure that the extradition also takes place.
All right, Mrs. Swami, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast. We certainly hope that whatever action the government has to take will happen soon, and whatever the truth is in this entire matter really comes out at the very earliest. Thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast. And Times Now spoke to Christian Michel's lawyer a short while earlier. We'll listen into that exclusive conversation again.
So you are confirming that the arrest of Christian Michel was made in regards to the Augusta Westland, the chopper.
Yes, of course. You know why? Last year he has been arrested for the same reason, but he paid the bail, 250,000 euros, and he was released. Then the prosecutor gave it to Indian authorities 45 days plus 45 days to have the documents, the evidence against him. As the Indian authorities didn't give anything, he was the extradition proceeding was suspended. But this year, a group of Indian authorities went to Dubai and together with the Emirates authorities, they interviewed Michel and then asked about all the Gandhi history. And he say, I never met Gandhi, I had nothing to do with Gandhi. So they say, no, you must sign this paper because you have to give us the confession because this crime is of white collar is very difficult to find the evidence, but you must collaborate with us. And he said, no, I have nothing to say. I never met Gandhi. I said that 1,000 times, and so they left. They came back again 1 week later, and they did another interview with him. And he said, I'm not going to sign any statement because I'm not agree with what you are saying. After 2 days, he was arrested. No bailable arrested. So he's there for 40 days.
We have to slip into a quick break now, but more updates on this big explosive news break on the other side. It's the biggest news break on the Augusta Westland scam. Times Now has learnt that alleged middleman Christian Michel has been arrested in Dubai. The arrest comes as a big boost to India's efforts to have Michel deported for the investigation in the multi-crore Agusta scam. Michel allegedly acted as a middleman between Agusta, the chopper manufacturer, and officials in the Indian government.
So you are confirming that the arrest of Christian Michel was made in regards to the Augusta Westland, the chopper.
Yes, of course, of course. You know why? Well, last year he has been arrested for the same reason, but he paid the bail, 250,000 euros, and he was released. Then the prosecutor gave it to Indian authorities 45 days plus 45 days to have the documents, the evidence against him. As the Indian authorities didn't give anything, he was the extradition proceedings.
And big breaking news coming in that India's extradition strategy has now been accessed by Times Now exclusively. Very clearly, it is the request that was sent in 2017 that India will be depending on, and very clearly, this is what in fact Indian authorities have told Times Now, that the two extradition requests that have been submitted in the past very much stands at this point in time. That is what authorities will be relying on for authorities there in the UAE, who have now arrested the Agusta middleman Christian Michel and now bring him into India through a process of extradition. Srinjoy Chaudhary, National Affairs Editor, joins us for more on this. Srinjoy, it is going to be the past request that India has made that will stand in this case, and that's what India will be relying on, bringing Christian Michel back to India through that extradition process.
Yes, absolutely. First of all, there is this business of arrest really doesn't matter so much unless it's an internal issue with the UAE. First, India requested extradition in 2017. That request still stands. The second request came in 2018, this year in February. This was under the Money Laundering Act. And once again, that request still stands. So the question now is, the UAE has to decide whether Christian Michel can be extradited or not, or should be extradited or not. That's really the important point. What all India is waiting for is the decision by the UAE government, nothing else. Once that happens, supposing the UAE government says that yes, we are going to allow the extradition of Christian Michel, then the Ministry of External Affairs
that would clear all decks then for the extradition
really
in that case. Srinjoy Chaudhary, thanks so much for bringing us that exclusive news break. And with that, it's a wrap on this bulletin. Keep watching Times Now.